Whatever investigators are finally able to establish about why MH370 crashed, the search has stoked tensions between the Malaysian and Chinese governments. Despite China's huge resources, they've been frustrated by their inability to solve the mystery of the missing plane. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Jonathan Rugman reports.
After 17 days, many Chinese relatives have not just lost patience with the search for Flight 370, they're refusing to believe it crashed into the ocean, and they're demanding proof. So China's government is under pressure to give its people answers.
We are intensely focused on and highly concerned by the fact that the Malaysian side has announced the conclusion. We have already appealed to Malaysia for all information upon which their conclusion is based.
In Kuala Lumpur, Chinese journalists repeatedly asked why the plane had not been found yet. Malaysia's answer: delays caused in part by China itself.
To remind you that we received satellite data from China involving sightings in the South China Sea, which made us detract ourselves from the search and rescue to search areas which we've already searched, and it was found to be negative.
No news from the southern Indian Ocean either. Chinese and American planes were grounded by bad weather, so no wreckage found, let alone survivors. Chinese ships and helicopters have joined the search of almost 470,000 square miles. Many Chinese are unfamiliar with foreign air travel and its risks. Some inclined not to believe their own government, let alone anyone else's.
This is very, very difficult for them to cope with. Very, very difficult for them to understand. And probably the fact that, you know, it's not a Chinese airline, it's a Malaysian airline. Malaysia is, in the Chinese way of seeing things, is a little country with, 26, 27 million people compared with 1.3 billion people in China. And historically, China's always dominated this part of the world in the sort of minds of the Chinese. Then maybe that's also, I'm sure, playing, I'm certain amongst some of the Chinese will be playing a role in the way they perceive the actions of the Malaysians.
But here in Kuala Lumpur's Chinatown, there's no desire for a row with China. There's already a territorial dispute over the South China Sea, and the large ethnic Chinese minority has no wish to stir up any ethnic prejudice.
Malaysia can still deliver what they have promised in terms of trading. I think that should be good enough to maintain the relationship between Malaysia and China.
Do you think the government's done a good job of telling you what's happening?
Of course, we have to trust the government. They are doing their part also. As the Prime Minister said, it's a very complicating task, so we have to trust them also. Yeah, that's my point of view.
Yet in Beijing, there's no sign of that trust. Adding insult to injury, many of these relatives were told by text message that all passengers must be presumed dead. After so much inefficiency in handling this crisis, even Malaysian efficiency has backfired.